Hello from Scotland. The 150th anniversary of the Open Championship is upon us. Postponed a year, no longer the best players in the world at the home of golf, St. Andrews. We're going to break it all down for you. Give us your picks of who we think is going to win, top 25, and who's going to miss the cut. Also, I've been in Scotland for almost 3 weeks now, so I have absolutely no idea what's going on in the markets, except for I keep losing little bits of money. Guy Adami is going to put me on the right track. That's what we do here on Breaking Even. Scotland! Where I am, boys. How we doing? The coach and Guy Adami. Welcome to Scotland. Welcome to St. Andrews. Well, at least a tin box in the television compound.
Two things. First and foremost, Guy gets his own introduction in the Open, and I get nothing. The other thing is, if you say Scotland one more time, I'm walking
Scotland!
Right, Coach is going to leave. Coach is out. He's Audi 5000. He's Audi McBeal.
Freedom!
I'm very jealous of you this week, Ned. All kidding aside, I am so jealous. This is going to be one of the great weeks of golf. The anniversary, all the great champions are over there. It's something you can't buy, and, man, I'm here for it.
Even Guy Adami is going to watch this because it's going to be on, Guy, when you get up at 5 in the morning or whenever you get up, 3:30 in the morning, live golf, best players in the world at the home of golf.
Be on. I'm gonna be locked in. I can't think of anything I'd rather watch at 5 a.m. in the morning than a bunch of overweight dudes sitting a golf ball around Scotland weather, drinking brown water. No, that's high octane entertainment right there, people.
It's going to be. Coach, I just came in from walking the golf course. I worked for the BBC this week, and my broadcast partner is a guy by the name of Ken Brown, who played in 2 Opens here, 1978 and then 84. He was a 5-time Ryder Cupper. So we walked the entire golf course, and he said he's never seen the golf course this firm and this fast.
Wow.
Guys are hitting 2 irons that are going 400 yards, which sounds great, but there are these little pot bunkers all over this golf course, and you find yourself in those things, and that's how you lose this Open. This is how you miss cuts. But the weather is going to be windy, upwards of 30 miles an hour, Coach. So you get firm and fast and windy. Oh, yeah, we got something.
That is an incredible Chick-fil-A nugget of the day. That may be the most important nugget you give out this entire show, Ned Michaels. For anybody that is new to golf or golf betting or just golf fandom, you're about to witness this week the most different golf tournament you'll ever witness in your life. But here's the thing. When you throw in the wind, and the greens are always slow, Ned, because of how much the wind is, they got to make the greens slow. But
right.
You throw in the wind, and the fact that it is so firm and you can't gauge, or you can't know how much the ball is going to bounce, that makes for more entertaining golf. And maybe the best player doesn't always win because of some of the breaks that links golf will give certain players.
It's going to be fascinating because if you have never played here or your caddy doesn't have a wealth of knowledge and a world of experience on this golf course, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are Joaquin Neiman, Mito Pereira, I walk holes with them. You're not going to win this tournament. You're just not. You have to know where the misses are, and then you have to know, okay, how do I account for the wind and where do I need to be? And if your caddy hasn't seen this place and you don't have any tournament experience, forget about, I played it with my dad when I was 17 years old. That doesn't count. This is a whole different animal, Coach.
It really, really is. And this also, you add to the fact that this will be, this is the tournament. St. Andrews is the place. If you ask any golfer that has any historical anything inside of them and you say, where would you like to play around the golf? This is the place. There is no other place. So now that you've got the 150 years, you got all the champions of there, Jack Nicklaus, Lee Trevino, they normally don't go. But because of what this year is, and this potentially will be the last time Tiger Woods will play at St. Andrews competitively ever. He's already walked 45 holes, which for him is a lot of golf. That shows you how much he wants it this week. So you got the veterans who want it. Then you got the new guys who can't quite figure it out. I think there's only about 30, 35 guys that have a legit chance of winning this week.
And you got Joaquin Andujar there. I mean, it's amazing what he's been able to do in his post-baseball life. It's fantastic.
Hey, by the way, Guy, my Braves taking on your Mets this week.
Yeah, I was a little upset last night that the Braves basically didn't show up at home against the Mets. I know Max Scherzer was throwing peas, but you have to have a better showing than that. I'm looking forward to them taking the next 2 games and, hopefully just being down a half a game as we get towards the All-Star break, Ned Michaels, because as I said 100 times, I hate the Mets. And Coach, I'm going to say this quickly. I know we want to talk about golf. The Mets could be playing the Red Sox in a rain makeup game at the end of the year. And in order for the Yankees to get into the playoffs, the Mets need to beat the Red Sox. I will still be rooting for the Red Sox.
That's how much? That's how much? By the way, we're all about being entertaining because all 3 of us are entertaining in our own rights. If you want to see one of the greatest sports rants you'll ever see when it comes to a Yankees fan, go check out Don LaGreca from Tuesday's Michael K show in New York City. He cut a promo on a caller that was like nothing I've ever seen because the caller accused him of being nothing without Michael K.
Wow.
Without Michael K. And imagine what Don LaGreca said to that. Just go to Twitter. It's all over Twitter, and you'll say, Coach, thank you, because it's awesome.
Guy, if Tiger Woods is playing,
and
I say if, he's going to play.
He's playing. On the television,
you're going to watch, right? Tell me you're going to flick it on and see.
I'll say that just to make you happy, just to sort of appease you. But it's funny, you would think you get to my age, I'm going to be 72 in December. I'd be enjoying a little nice golf match on the weekends, sitting back with my bib on and watching those things, my name tag, just so I can remember who I am. But I'm just not into it. I got to be honest with you. It doesn't do it for me.
All right. Well, we'll move on and we'll do it for you because Coach, the field is huge. They're going to tee off until 4:00 in the afternoon.
Stop it. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes.
Stop it. How many people play? It's a Kentucky Derby of golf is what you're saying.
It's an enormous field.
They like to have everybody tee off from the first hole. They don't do the whole 1st and 10th. And to do that, then you got to tee off for 10 hours. But it's also, there it is. But also, Guy, in this part of the country, it is light till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So they can play very, very late. Yeah, absolutely.
6:35 in the morning, Guy Adami. That's all the way up here to 4:16 in the afternoon.
You want to work that tournament? That's what Ned's doing.
Right.
15-hour days. No, thank you.
Paul Laurie, Webb Simpson, Min-Woo Lee have the honor of going out first. It's an enormous field, Coach. You're right. It's narrowed down to, I agree with you, there's only 30-ish players, and I think even that, as you said, is stretching it. Really and truly, there's probably 15 guys that you look at and you say, okay, I think this guy can win. And by the way, remember a couple of weeks ago when I said I am not picking Xander Schauffele to win a tournament again until he shows me he can win a tournament?
Yes.
Now he's won 2 PGA Tour events in a row. So I sold at the bottom, Guy. That's what I did. I sold at the bottom with Xander Schauffele.
Everything, Guy, you're not supposed to do in the market, Ned did with Xander Schauffele. Everything you're not supposed to do. He wins at the Travelers. He comes over and wins at the Scottish. And I'm not a dumb bettor anymore. And I know when you need to ride a horse. And that is a horse this week that people need to ride, whether it's a top 5 or a top 10 or a top 20. Xander, to Ned's point, is a horse.
He's changed his putting routine. It takes a little longer. He's getting some criticism for it taking too long, Coach, but it's working. So if you hit the ball fewer times, essentially you're saving time. So we'll see. But let's take a look at our picks from the week. I'm interested to see who you have selected.
Well, my thought process for this week, guys, is it's big game hunting. And what I mean by that is I think the stars are really going to show up because you factor in everything that's going on around the tournament. The 150-year celebration, you had all the great champions playing on Monday. You had the champions dinner tonight in the RA Clubhouse. It means so much. So I think the stars really want to show out this week. So I think that it's reflective of my pick. Shane Lowry, he's a former champion. He won just a couple of years ago at the Open. I like him for a top 20. I don't like him to win, but I like him for a top 20. Then you see I'm going to stack. It's what we call it in golf betting, when you pick a player to win, but then you want to protect that bet a little bit, so you make a top 20 or a top 10. So that's what we're going to do with Xander. Jordan Spieth played well last week in the Scottish Open. That always, more times than not, translates into playing well in the Open. He's also an Open champion. And then I think Xander will continue his hot play this week because right now, even when he has his B- game like he did on Sunday, he's still figuring out a way to score. And that's what you have to do in links golf. And then I will get to my crystal ball in a moment. But Ned, I'll let you do your picks first.
I love what you're saying about the history and the appreciation of the game and the weight it has if you can win the 150th Open Championship at St. Andrews. Totally agree with you. That's going to take the superstars to a higher level even. So I'm going to start on my outright picks. Again, as coach has educated me and all of us, I'm not picking these three guys to win. I'm going to pick one, and these are the three players that I think you should be considering for a chance to win. Jordan Spieth, for all the reasons that you just mentioned. Plus, he had a chance to win last week at the Scottish. He didn't get it done. He not gave it away, but he didn't finish well. And I think that's just the chip on his shoulder that he needs coming in here. So it's Spieth, Fitzpatrick. How can you argue with the U.S. Open champion? The only reason I wouldn't pick Fitzpatrick is because it's really tough, and history is against him to win back-to-back majors. Mm-hmm. And then Lowry, flighting the ball so well this year, has a new driver that he is actually hitting fairways with, a good putter, fantastic short game. And to your point, Coach, he knows how to win. He knows how to play link-style golf courses. He already has the Claret Jug. So I like one of those three guys. If you want to then stack, is what you were saying, you can maybe take one of them and top 10 them. Justin Thomas played horrible at the Scottish, 77 on Friday. Didn't even come close to making the cut. Early exit, came over to the old course, got in some extra practice. Wouldn't be surprised to see him come out. And Colin Morikawa actually said the round that he played with Justin Thomas earlier this year at the Players' Championship and those ridiculous wins at Sawgrass, this is one of the greatest rounds I've ever seen. And so now Morikawa is trying to work the ball more because JT can hit all 9 windows, working the ball left to right and high and low. So you have to think, man, with that kind of creativity on this golf course, yeah, that's a nice pick.
Yeah.
Tony Finau it's not a panic pick, but it's I'm a victim of the moment pick because I just walked 2 holes with him and asked him, hey, have you played here before? And he said, yeah, I've actually played the Dunhill Links. Now the golf course doesn't play as firm. It's not as fast, but he's played in that tournament specifically in anticipation of the 150th anniversary. So he knows the golf course. He's comfortable with it. He knows the sight lines. So, and plus I like Tony. He's due for something special. And then Max Homa. Max Homa is becoming a major quality player. I don't know if he's ready to win, Coach, but he's inside that top 10 for me. And then Nicholas Højgaard for the top 20 is an outside shot, long hitter, and is just a cool customer under pressure. So those are my picks from the Open. And I mean from the Open because I'm in Scotland.
Before we get to the money part, because, man, guys got some great stuff today. Then this is going to be the last thing I say, and then I'll shut up. But as I was looking at my crystal ball, I tell people all the time on my award-winning show called The Early Edge every single day, powered by Sportsline, that not every bet has to be serious. Not every bet has to hit. Sometimes in certain events, you can make a bet because you want it to happen so badly. So as I was looking into my crystal ball last night, and I was thinking, what would make me the happiest this weekend at the Open Championship? And there's only one thing. And that would be Tiger Woods, a top 20 finish. Because I'm on the fence. Guy says he's not going to watch Tiger at all. He says, I'm over it. I want to watch the old fat guys. Well, I want to watch the old guys in shape that maybe one more time can dig deep, look inside, and get win number 16. It could happen. In my crystal ball.
Tease me?
It could. Yes. And now I'll sit back and make money.
Do you think Tiger, this is his last Open at St. Andrews?
Yes, because I don't think he's going to play for another, I don't know how many years it is, but yeah, this will be the last one at St. Andrews. It's why he's putting everything into it. Like, there's nothing he's leaving on the table. Practice rounds, playing with different guys, playing the Pro-Am, all of that, walking 45 holes. That's a big deal for Tiger Woods.
Let me ask you guys a quick question. If Tiger's on the leaderboard on Sunday, Is that the most watched golf event in history?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because it's going to be at like 10 a.m. in the morning, like 10:30 in the morning, because they're playing over there. So it's very difficult. Now, it's going to be highly rated if that would happen, but it's a lot of people forget, and they go, oh, that was on this morning. You know what I mean? Because we're used to watching golf from 3 to 6. So it'll still be highly rated.
The most highly rated golf broadcast in the last decade was Tiger winning the Masters in 09. Remember, they had to move the tee times up because of inclement weather. The second most watched guy, by the way, broadcast of this era, the replay of Tiger winning that afternoon in 2019. So yeah. Tiger doesn't move the needle. Tiger is the needle. If he's on the leaderboard Sunday, yeah, it will be epic for the game of golf, and we need it. Speaking of Tiger, and we're going to get to the financial stuff because I need an education. It's been hard to pay attention. This 6-hour, 5-hour time change is a whole different deal. But you know, Coach, do you know where I am, by the way?
Scotland.
So Tiger came out, and I didn't even see this until you brought it up, Coach. Really interesting comments, and I was hoping we didn't have to talk about LIV, but it's still a thing. What'd you make of Tiger's comments? Because they're pretty strong.
I'll make this very quick because we've been waiting for somebody other than Rory, who's on that level, to come out and say something. Jack did, but Jack's not playing anymore, and he's 82 years old. So for Tiger to wait until now, I think that was very, very strategic for him to do that. And he said, listen, it's like they're turning their back on what got them here. And that's what I've been saying all along. It's like, how do these players think they're famous? Do they think they were famous because they did it? So for him saying that, there's nothing worse than telling a competitor or telling a family member, you turned your back on us. That's what you did. Can you imagine how that must feel? And that's what he said. And for Tiger to say it, that's resounding. And now we can move into the Open Championship and know what the greatest voice, the greatest champion of our era thinks about LIV Golf. Big.
When he speaks, the entire world of golf listens, but the players, it permeates through the locker room. I can promise you that. And now that he said that, he's already vocally been against it, but he said something like that. Now to try to defect isn't the right word, but to head to LIV, that takes on a little extra pressure.
Yes.
But real quick, because I heard this on the radio this morning, everybody's got their price, Coach Ned. You guys know, I mean, I think it was sort of rumored that he was offered north of $500 million, but let's say his number was $1 billion and he does go. I mean, is it incumbent upon him to say, listen, I'm going to say all these things, understanding that everybody has their number and I have a number as well. With that said, here are my thoughts. Because listen, if they threw $1 billion at him, my sense is he's got to go. And nobody could have blamed him either.
No, I completely fundamentally disagree with you. Just like Jack Nicklaus started the PGA Tour, and if he would have gone, he would have turned his back on the tour he started. Tiger Woods is the reason guys are making the tens of millions of dollars that they are on the tour. So he is a billionaire already. Even after the divorce, he's a billionaire. He makes north of $100 million a year in endorsements. So $1 billion for him is not the same as $1 billion for somebody else.
He doesn't win by doing that. Even if he never plays another golf tournament, he turns his back on himself if he does it. And there is no financial reason to do it. The number, I don't know that there is a number. There are things that, Guy, if I ask you to do, there is no number.
No, listen, hearing you both say that makes me happy. Like, it makes me happy that is in fact the case, that there's a level of genuineness when he says things like that. So I think it's great. By the way, I think it sort of elevates him as well. I think this could really just cement whatever. Look, I mean, his legacy was cemented years ago, but this, to me, him making those comments, understanding that maybe there isn't a number, I think that just reinforces everything he's been and everything he will continue to be to the game of golf.
Yes.
By the way, make sure that you can hit us all up on Twitter, because if there's any golf questions you have, and I'm going to continue to put out information and maybe a couple last-minute picks as I walk the course this afternoon and then come out tomorrow and talk to some more of the players. So just follow us on Breaking Even. We each individually have our handles, and you can see them right there because we've got an awesome producer. And look, he even got a Scottish flag right by name.
Oh, my God.
My man.
Come your ego. Oh.
Hey, speaking of a number, in numbers that might entertain us in terms of how much money does it take for me to want to do something, I haven't been able to really keep up with what's going on in the stock markets, Guy Adami. But as you know, there are always things that I need to know.
Show me the money!
Love that.
Right now, I'm seeing it go down the drain.
Yeah.
It may be going the opposite direction over here. I don't know, but it's going down the drain. Gold and oil, I haven't been able to keep up with it. So just on a macro level, what is happening?
All right. So macro level is where you want to attack this. Commodities have been under pressure. I mean, this is the biggest sell-off we've seen in commodities maybe in history. And that sort of is funny because 6 months ago, we were talking about one of the biggest rallies in all time in commodities. We talked about base metals, crude oil, and different things, wheat, soybeans, all those things. Now everything's sort of going the other way. Why is that? Well, I think there are a couple of reasons. I think the global economy is clearly slowing down, and you have now central banks around the world raising interest rates to try to slow things down, as somewhat counterintuitive as that might sound. That coupled with this continued zero COVID policy out of China, you saw what they did in Macau, basically locking things down. That's putting a lot of pressure on commodities as well. So you've seen crude oil obviously take a bath. What I would say is, this is Coach's favorite, our OIH, which Jacob can put up a chart. I mean, this thing went from, again, we can look at the numbers, 175 up to 305, back down to 245, back to 320. The move from 320 to current levels is not nearly commensurate with the move in the underlying underlying commodity. I mean, this thing has been taking a bath. And what's happening here is I think people are selling the underlying stocks, asking questions later, thinking there's no way this commodity can hold up. We'll see. I think the OIH is interesting here, but I've thought that for a while. So that's the macro answer. In terms of the stock market, I thought before I left on vacation that quarter end into July 4th, we'd see a rally in the equity market. We'd see a subsequent rally on a holiday shortened week last week. It didn't really come to fruition, and we're still sort of struggling here in the S&P 500. I still think there's an outside shot we make a run to 4,100, maybe on the back of bank earnings this week before we go cascading lower. Jacob can put an S&P last leg higher. I think the ultimate outcome for this S&P 500 is probably 3,400 or thereabouts. I don't know if that helps you or not, Coach and Ned, but that's sort of my views on things.
Coach, at the beginning of that, guy said this is maybe the biggest sell-off in commodities perhaps in our lifetime. I'm glad I'm part of it. I'm glad if there's a big party, I want to be part of it. And I'm really glad I got a front row seat of the commodity sell-off. So tactically, Guy, do you just sit tight and you have to wait for it to come back?
In terms of the broader market, I think you're sitting tight and you're waiting for an entry point that I think eventually will come. And that entry point, to me, is around 3,400 or so in the S&P 500. In the energy market, I think the headwinds that are out there, not least of which a U.S. dollar that continues to rally. You're in Europe right now. This is the first time, I think, in 15 or so years that we're talking about parity with the euro. I mean, the dollar is as strong as the euro. That does not happen. And again, so much of this is predicated on the fact that the Eurozone is probably in a pretty deep recession. And here in the United States, although our economy is not going gangbusters, what we're seeing is a Federal Reserve that's trying to be smart and is trying to do the right thing. And them raising rates and them trying to reduce their balance sheet is very dollar positive. So that's what you're seeing there. So there's so many cross currents right now, so many weird things going on. I think the stock market has one last breath leg to the upside before it sort of cascades lower.
Coach, why do you get that ass eater grin on your face? You got some question you want to ask?
No, I do have a question I want to ask, but I just sometimes my mind just starts to when I
wander.
Of yes, and I find a lot of things funny, and I enjoy being on the show. I think about different things when Guy is talking sometimes, but I saw on social media, I'm sure I didn't read this right, about the Chinese banks limiting cash to consumers. What was that about? And is it anything that we should be concerned about?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get too wonky here. To answer the last question first, I think we absolutely should be concerned because effectively, if for you folks that are fans of It's a Wonderful Life, remember that run on the bank in the middle of the movie? I mean, that's effectively what we're seeing there. You're seeing it. Listen, not that Sri Lanka is a big, huge economy that's going to change the outcomes of the global economy, but you're seeing the same thing right now in Sri Lanka where people are literally storming the castle because they're pissed off at what's going on. So should we be concerned? Yes. What's happening? I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but, you can see basically a currency flight, and that's potentially catastrophic in a word I'm choosing to use. So yes, it's happening there. I don't think it's going to happen here, but the far-reaching impact, it's just a matter of time before I think it reaches our equity markets, and we'll see. Listen, you can see how we're talking about Chinese equities that continue to be under pressure, and to a certain extent, that's been created by their own forces. I mean, they're choosing to do this for whatever reason.
Here's something that I don't understand. I've asked you this a couple of times. I'm trying to convince myself, I think, of something. But, Coach, if you think this week at St. Andrews, the guys are going to shoot 25 to 28 under because it's a short golf course that's playing firm. And so you put a lot of bets on low scores. Mm-hmm. And then you hear me tell you, hey, this golf course is going to have 30-mile-an-hour winds at least 2 days. And you say, oh, okay, wait a minute. Now I've got to adjust my bets. Do you keep those low score bets on and then place new bets? Or if you could sell those low score bets, would you go sell those? It said differently in the stock market guy.
Same thing.
If we think it's going to tank down to this 3,200 level, why would I keep Disney? Why would I keep Apple? Why would I keep Google?
Yeah. And listen, I mean, think about it. You did that in Disney a few weeks ago when Disney traded up to, I think, 109 or something. You said, wait a second, if the broader market's going to go down, why am I going to hold on to Disney here? And I think now you look at Disney's probably either side of $93 or so last I looked. So that's a good move by you. This is what I'll say, and hopefully this helps. I tell people all the time, you need to trade the market. Don't let the market trade you. In other words, you try to be ahead of these things. The same way in gambling, I think you try to be ahead of certain things because once you're behind the curve, you start to chase. So that was a great job in Disney, and I think you can learn a little bit of a lesson there on how to go forward. Maybe, hopefully that helps.
All right, Guy, let me ask you this. I have a quick question. So in golf betting, to not put so much at risk, we do head-to-heads. I preach all the time, head-to-head matchups are where you're going to make your money, not winners and doing the more volatile betting, to use a financial term. What would be the equivalent of that in the financial markets right now? Something that is not as divisive, I guess, as picking a winner.
Yeah, that's a good. I think that's a great call by you. Not as divisive. I think what you're looking for here is how do you play volatility. So I think Ned understands this from listening to Dan and I over the last couple of years. But how do I take advantage of right now a market that does not seem to be fully pricing in the volatility that is ahead? And to a certain extent, you can do that by buying options. Specifically, if you think things are lower, by buying puts in individual equities or in the broader market itself. I think that's an interesting way to make a bet, understanding you've already had bets on that might not be winners. Then I think that makes a little bit of sense to you, right?
If I were to buy puts on the overall market, S&P, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, give me a timeline on where I should be buying.
So, and I'm not trying to be too tactical and too cute here, but I think you wait for a bit of a bounce in the market. Again, maybe it comes in the form of bank earnings later this week. We have JP Morgan on Thursday. You hope that the market rallies. You hope that volatility gets tamped down a little bit more so those puts become cheaper and you have a better entry level. So what I would be looking for is maybe something next Monday, maybe a 1 month, 3,400, let's call it, August. Well, it probably has to be September put. That's the way I would look at it. And having not looked at it at all, but that's sort of the math in my head.
Coach, it's all about puts, baby. Come on, you know that. Buy you some Apple puts.
I swear to God, there are times and there are nights when I wake up and that's the only word I hear in my head.
Hey, don't worry. Now you can hear Scotland.
I know.
Hey, best part of the show. 1 minute left. Guy Adami, the floor is yours, baby.
The National Hockey League is, as you know, my favorite league. I love hockey, and I think they've come such a long way. The sport is starting to really catch on in a meaningful way. Yet the Arizona Coyotes, that is a franchise, they play in Arizona, recently decided to play at Arizona State. I understand that there's sort of circumstances out of their control. They're going to play in front of 5,000 people next year. Hopefully, I should say, for their home games. Coach played in front of more people in his freaking high school basketball games. I mean, it's a joke. Figure something else out. Play at effing Disney World or something. Do something. But that's embarrassing, not only to the franchise, Coach and Ned, but to the entire sport.
Ned, do you realize that people ask me all the time, how intelligent truly is Guy Adami? I say very, very intelligent. But the next time I say that, they may pull up this last little bit and go, really? As he said, the Arizona Coyotes, they play in Arizona. And then I was like, of course they play in Arizona. Oh, man.
I had to clarify.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. Coach, you know and I know. Ned, you know and I know. That's effing embarrassing.
You can't have an NHL franchise playing in an arena that can only hold 5,000 people.
More people standing in line to get coach's autograph.
True.
Well,
True that.
Facts.
Hey, gentlemen, we're out of time. Watch this, Guy Adami, 150th, okay? It's going to be on television.
Hey, bring one of those back from me.
Tiger.
I love you.
Yeah,
right, love you, boys. I got you, Coach. I got you masters that you haven't even gotten yet. I got a stocking full of stuff for the coach. All right, catch us all over Twitter. Breaking Even. We're out for now. Peace.